Good day to you. It's Chris from IELTS Daily, and I'm going to do an essay marking video. Sometimes I do these as a surprise. I hope you are waiting to watch an essay marking video. If you are, I'm going to be starting in about 2 minutes. So 2 minutes for essay marking. Hello people, I can see you're all starting to join. It's nice to see everybody. We're going to do an essay marking video in about 2 minutes, so stick around, wait for me to come and we will do some marking of an essay and tell me what you guys think. Do you agree with me or do you not agree with me? We are going to start in 1 minute. So 1 minute for the essay marking video. All right, hello, it's Chris from IELTS Daily and we are ready to go. Are you ready? Because I am. Shall we start the essay marking video? Hello, hello, hello. It's Chris from IELTS Daily and we're back. And I'm really sorry that I have disturbed your day. This wasn't a planned class. We weren't planning to do this one, but sometimes I like to surprise you. I like to be spontaneous and do something a little bit random. So today we're going to be having a look at one of our superstar students. They are a member of our class, they are a member of our channel, and they have access to extra marking and they get some extra feedback. And we're going to look at one of their essays today, and we, you and me and the other students are going to share our ideas, think about how this person performs well and how they could maybe do a little bit better. Because everybody's aspiring, we're all aiming to do better in life, in IELTS. So I want to have a look at their essay. But how are you all doing? Let's see if you're all in the chat. Who is here? Let's see who is going to be available and ready to talk to us, see if anybody is here. Let's come over here. Hello to Mansi. Hello to Anmol. Hi to Rani. Good to see everybody today. Who else is here? It's really good to see everybody. Who else is here? Hello to Bangladesh. Hello to Moldova. Hello to Laos. Good to see everybody. Really nice. Lots of Bangladeshi people around I can see. Hi to Pakistan. Good. Fabulous. Okay, so as we do, first things first. First thing always is first. We have to first look at the question. What does the question say and how can we best approach this? How can the student really focus on answering this question? And let's have a see what they have done. All right. So the question itself says, too much money is spent repairing old buildings. It would be better if this money was used to knock down old buildings and construct new ones. So if you have been to one of our previous classes before, we've actually looked at this essay question before. This is a different student, but looking at the same essay question. So let's see if they have the same ideas, anything which is similar tones. Have they organized their ideas in the same way? Let's check it out. So to what extent do you agree or disagree? We looked in a previous class and we decided that the most important word, the most important word or the idea is probably too much and better. Those two words are really, really important. You need to be able to answer the question, is too much money being spent, and would it be better if we knock them down? So let's take a look at this particular candidate's answers. Old buildings are part and parcel of the cultural heritage of a society. Part and parcel, to be part and parcel. This is a lexical resource positive point. So this is an example of a good piece of lexical resource, part and parcel. It is a binomial sentence. It's a binomial phrase, which means it's part of, it's an integral part of, it's an important part of. So we could say something is part and parcel of something. Okay? So bad weather is part and parcel of growing up in the UK. It is simply just an integral part of it. So renovation of these buildings is expensive. In fact, so here we have a problem with the comma use. You can't really use in fact in the middle like this. We could say, if we were doing the same thing, we could say, if you're adding emphasis, if you're emphasizing something, you could say, there are, in fact, some reasons for something. So can you see that the word or the words in fact here are used to emphasize? Okay, so there are in fact some reasons for something. So they've used it as an emphasis. But in the case of this student, I don't think they've used it as an emphasis. Let's have a look at what they said again. They said, renovation of these buildings is in fact expensive. That's what they should be saying there. We can't use in fact here. So that would be marked down probably for grammar. That would be a grammatical markdown. Maybe coherence and cohesion. Not quite sure which one it would fall under. You could say renovation of these buildings is expensive, and in fact, some argue. I always am a little bit skeptical, always wanting to question a little bit, and somebody raised this point with me. Some. What does some mean? I think some is an adjective, and we need to think about what's the actual noun, and it would be some people. Okay? So I would say, I would very rarely, or I would probably choose not to use just some. Some people argue that the money should be utilised in demolishing them. Renovation of these buildings. Argue that the money should be utilised in demolishing them. Can you be utilised in? Can money be utilised in? I'm just thinking aloud here. Sometimes when you are marking a script, you have to think aloud and you have to think, what does this person actually mean? Where are they going? Where are they taking me? So it's just a little bit tricky there. It should be utilised by demolishing them. So the money is utilised by demolishing them. I think that's probably a better way. Sometimes I think about something and then I come back and change my mind by demolishing them and reconstructing. So can you see here, we've got, we should really be having something, it's called parallelism, and it's where you repeat an idea. So when you're making a list of something, you have to keep the word form in the same way. So I really enjoy reading, cooking, and playing tennis. Okay, can you see reading, cooking, and playing tennis? So you'd be repeating the same form of the word in each case when you're making a list like that. And the same thing should be happening here. So the money should be utilised by demolishing them and reconstructing new ones. Okay? So just really, really be careful thinking about grammar. It's super important. This essay will discuss why it is crucial and profitable not to knock them down. This essay will discuss why it is crucial and profitable not to knock them down. Now, I feel like something is missing here. I feel like that the candidate is not really setting out, is not really explaining why or the reasons that you're going to start to illustrate in your essay. I feel like they could say it's crucial and profitable, knock them down because, and you don't have to give the full reason. You just have to introduce. You have to kind of bring these ideas to the fore when you're introducing the first part. I worry whether the first part is just off topic. Maybe I'm not convinced that the first sentence is adding very much to the essay. Some people say that adding a background to the sentence is to the essay is a good idea. I'm not entirely sure. I don't think you should be doing it in your introduction, but the idea is that you should be paraphrasing the question itself. So I feel like the first sentence is just a little bit redundant, and I feel like something is just missing a little bit here. Right. So let me go back. Sometimes I start talking and then I go off on a tangent and I forget what the person said. Remember that in the essay you have to have a clear position. To get a band 7, your position has to be maintained throughout the essay. So the position that you have at the beginning should be followed throughout. Let's see what the position is. Remind ourselves. It says, this essay will discuss why it is crucial and profitable not to knock them down. So the idea is that knocking them down is better. So he's or she is going against the first, so he's going with the first idea that we should spend more on repairing and that we should not knock them down. Okay? So the position is we should not demolish. We should invest money in repairing. And the problem is that they haven't included that idea. And remember, you have to cover all parts of the task, and the part of the task that's currently missing, and I'm not saying that it won't be included later. Too much money is spent repairing old buildings. So it's the investment aspect, it's the spending money aspect that's just missing a little bit from your introduction. There's in terms of the position, but we'll carry on and see. In my perspective, I do believe, in my perspective, from my perspective, in my perspective, I'm pretty sure it's from my perspective and it's in my opinion and in my view. I do believe you're not really emphasizing anything at the moment, so it's I believe that old buildings are an indication of the past. Repairing such architectural structures are significant in boosting the tourism and education sectors of one country. One country would be wrong, that of a country. I believe that old buildings are an indication of the past. Repairing such architectural structures, I feel like this is trying a little bit hard. So let's say trying too hard. You don't have to find synonymous vocabulary for everything. Repairing are significant in boosting the tourism. The tourism, which tourism? That would be a grammar mistake. Not sure, just be careful with articles. So article, GRA mistake. This is a really, really, really common problem. Articles, for you guys, are a nightmare. You sometimes include them when you shouldn't. Sometimes you miss them when you need them. And it becomes a very difficult balance, a fine line between how to get it right and how to not forget them. So what's the topic sentence of this? So it's about repairing, because it's tourism and education. Because of their sculpture and artistic inputs, that would be an incorrect collocation. So because of their sculpture and artistic inputs, they, so one of the other fine lines that you have to remember is balancing not repeating words with making sure that your referencing is accurate. So referencing is when you refer to something. So if you say buildings, you can say them or they, but they have to be clear. And one of the problems of many students is this idea of referencing, and it becomes unclear. The reader gets lost. So just be aware. I'm struggling just a little bit here because of their sculpture and artistic input. This is getting a bit difficult to understand. They are always appealing in the eyes of the tourists. They're appealing in the eyes of the tourists, historians and archaeologists, in which they provide bases for initiating studies of past civilizations and lay a foundation for future newly built design structures. So for the person who wrote this, I'm really sorry, I'm struggling to understand what your point is here. It's taking me a long time to kind of get your idea coming through. Let's go again. Let's read the grey section again. Because of their sculpture and artistic input, they are always appealing in the eyes of tourists, historians and archaeologists. In which, that's a mistake. We can't say in which because we're talking about people. So we would have to have a relative pronoun, and it would have to be who, because it's tourists, historians and archaeologists. But still, this would be a grammar mistake, and I don't know how I would fix it. Sometimes when we read quickly like this, it becomes quite difficult for me to give an idea because I don't know what the person is actually thinking. In which they provide bases for initiating studies of the past civilizations. So what we're saying, and lay a foundation for future newly built design structures. So what we're saying is, tourists, historians and archaeologists, they provide bases for initiating studies of past civilizations. So I don't understand what the link with tourists is here. I kind of understand it with archaeologists because we're initiating studies of the past civilizations and lay a foundation for future newly built design structures. How can it be a future newly built? Future implies that it's in the future, so it can't already be built. This would be a very big question mark for me. Remember, at all points we should be looking back and thinking about how the mark scheme really fits with this essay. And at the moment, I'm finding it really difficult to follow the ideas of this person. I can't quite link it to the question. So it's not doing terribly great here. So in terms of tourism, for instance, in terms of tourism, for instance, Rome and Paris are typical examples that attract millions of people every year and play a greater role in the GDP of the respective cities. Well, GDP comes of a country and pave the way for various job opportunities for their inhabitants. What's the overarching theme here? Boosting the tourism and education sectors of a country. Then it starts talking about GDP. I feel that many of the ideas in here are not very coherent. They're not linked back to the central topic. And I feel that this person hasn't really planned their essay super well so that I can really understand. You've got a position which they need, and the position is, we think that repairing buildings is a good idea. First of all, you should probably start, if I were writing this essay, I would probably start in explaining why it's not a great idea to demolish buildings and then talk about the advantages of why repairing buildings would be good. But that's my initial thoughts. Really, really struggling with this paragraph. I don't think it is as coherent as it could be. Others may claim the money allotted to repairing old buildings is wastage, is a waste, and insignificant. Further, we can't just write further in the middle of a sentence. We can't write further in the middle of a sentence. Further, so it would be full stop, further. Further, they may suggest rebuilding new ones on top of them. Okay, so they're saying others may claim that money is wasted by repairing, and they may say that we're building new ones on top of them. Do you see how we've got this idea of referencing, and it becomes really difficult to kind of guess what's the reference here? Is it what's ones and what's them? With no doubt, I do understand that the opponents might want to see a variety of low-cost income housing which can be affordable to the working class of the society, and to mitigate the housing problems. It's not really and, it's, you've already said, in order to mitigate the housing problems. Even though they, again referencing, it becomes really difficult to see who they are referring to. Even though they have valid concerns, such solution, that would be a comma, even though they have valid concerns, such solutions may not be at the expense of the history and culture of society. Even though they have such solutions may not be at the expense of the history and culture of society, as there may be available options to overcome such problems. I am really struggling to gauge and understand what this person's argument is. It's really difficult to get a grasp of what they're trying to say. For instance, many cities have been constructed on the sea. For example, we wouldn't start with e.g., it would be for example, Amsterdam and Palm Island and the Palm Island of Dubai. Hence, we're using these linking words in the middle. We're really struggling here. Hence, I sincerely believe that we should keep and take care of old buildings, as we have other alternatives for constructing the new condominium. I don't know about you, but this is really hard for me to follow. And this is going to have a big impact on the task response mark and also the coherence and cohesion mark. It seems like they're just firing ideas, they're firing language on there, they're trying to find synonymous words for building, like the word condominium. It doesn't mean the same thing. Condominium is a specific type of building. If we were talking about condominiums, we should use the word condominiums or apartments by the sea. But the problem is today we're talking about buildings. So you can't just use a subcategory to explain the family category. It's not possible to do that. For example, let me give you an example. If we use the word boy, boy doesn't reflect the word children, because the word boy is a subcategory of the family, which is children. So you would talk about children or young people, and then the subcategory would be boy. But you can't use the word boy to talk about the whole category, which in this case, the word condominium, they're trying too hard. Overall, knocking down old buildings is unwise and reckless to think. So the word reckless is a very subjective word to think of in the first place. It is eradicating your past heritage and leaving the future generation with nothing to refer to. Such structures are indeed worth spending money on. Alrighty, we need to give them a score. We need to give them a score for task response, coherence and cohesion, grammatical range and accuracy, and lexical resource. It's your turn. What do you think the overall score of this candidate's answer was? Do you think it was easy to follow? Do you think there was good language? Do you think that overall there was good flow? Do you think that the ideas were linked well? Did they use a variety of high-level and more commonly used words? Did they use a range of grammatical structures? Were they easy to follow? Did they have mistakes? Your turn. Let's see if you can give us a score. And what I'll do is I will kind of bring up the band descriptors, because we always need to look at the band descriptors. They're an important feature of your marking. So here are the band descriptors. Let's zoom in a little bit so that you can see them there. You need to know about them. There are your band descriptors, and very importantly, what do you think this person scored? Who's going to give me? So we've got some people going from 5.5, 6.5, 7. We've got a few 5.5s, got a 4, a 6, a 6. Anybody else? A 7, 6, 7. Kamal says, I struggle to understand. Me too. Navjot says 4.5, 6.5. Rizkania says, no, Chris, a bit complicated to understand. Shaikh says 7. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think one thing that we can say, this is not a band 7. Probably not even close to a band 7. The reason why is it is just too difficult to follow this person's ideas. They need to kind of organise and plan before they start writing. They need to think, what's their main goal and objective of getting to the end of this essay. Make sure that whatever position you have at the beginning needs to be followed and it needs to be met at the end with no additional ideas at the end. And at every point within each paragraph, there's just one topic within a paragraph. And then when you have your second paragraph, there needs to be one topic. And you just need to present some ideas, 1 or 2 ideas, and extend and support them. So definitely not a band 7. So if you guys are looking for a band 7, this is not the essay for you to kind of be working with or towards. Let's have a look at each part. Each part of the band descriptors. We always should be looking at our band descriptors. Let's make it a bit bigger for you. So, band 6 addresses all parts of the task. Some may be more fully covered than others, presents a relevant position, although conclusions may be unclear or repetitive, presents relevant main ideas, but some may be inadequately developed or unclear. For me, we're looking somewhere between a 5 and a 6 for task response. But as you know, in IELTS, you can't be between a 5 and a 6. You have to be 5 or you have to be 6. You can't be a 5.5. It's just not possible. You have to look at all the criteria within each, and we have to say, at a band 5, did they meet all these criteria? And then at a band 6, if you don't meet all the criteria of a band 6, you're not a band 6, you're just staying at a band 5. So you have to meet all the criteria within the band for you to reach that band. So the question, which is a really difficult question, addresses the task only partially. I think they probably covered the whole task. They looked at both parts, which was, the first part was about whether it's a waste of money, and the second part was about better to knock down and construct new ones. I think they covered both of those parts. Not particularly clearly, but I think they covered them. Next, band 5. expresses a position, but the development is not always clear, and there may be no conclusions drawn. Do you know what? I'm going to be really strict and say I'm going to keep it at a band 5 for this one, because it's about clear development, and I don't think that whatever ideas they have came across as clearly as they could have done. So sorry, it's going to be a band 5 for me. I think a lenient examiner might give them a 6, but I'm going to be strict today. So I'm going to go over and give them a band 5 for task response. Good. Next, we will go to coherence and cohesion. Remember, we've got to look at all the band descriptors, and we're going to say, presents information with some organisation, but there may be a lack of overall progression. I think they meet that. Makes inadequate, inaccurate, or overuse of cohesive devices. I'm afraid this person does make quite a number of inaccurate uses of cohesive devices, where they put these cohesive devices in the middle of a sentence, like hence. You can't use those cohesive devices right in the middle of a sentence when you want to use them. So because of this idea that they are used inaccurately, again, it's a band 5 from me. So let's take a look again and say the person's score. Coherence and cohesion, it's a band 5. Now, the next one is grammatical range and accuracy. If we look at grammatical range and accuracy, it says uses a limited, it's lexical resource, so forgive me. Uses a limited range of vocabulary, but this is minimally adequate for the task. May make noticeable errors in spelling or word formation, and that may cause some difficulty for the reader. I think the person meets both of those. Uses an adequate range of vocabulary, attempts to use less common lexical vocabulary with some inaccuracy. That is what the person does. There is some inaccuracy, like the word condominium. Makes some errors in spelling and word formation, but they do not impede communication. I think that the person meets all those criteria. So I'm going to give them a band 6 for lexical resource. Band 6 for lexical resource. And grammatical range and accuracy, now this one is, let's have a look. Uses a limited range of structures. No, they use some range of structures. Attempts complex sentences, but these tend to be less accurate. This is true. May make frequent grammatical errors, and punctuation may be faulty. Errors cause some difficulty for the reader. Oh, God. I feel like I'm going to be really strict on this one. Because I think some examiners might be a little bit lenient and say, they've tried some complex sentences. The problem here is that there were too many of these, we call them run-on sentences, where they're kind of, they don't stop and they just continue, and then they become fragmented and they become difficult to understand. So I'm really sorry, in this case, it's a band 5 for grammar from me. Let me show you here. I think I'm being really strict today. So overall, it's a 5.25, which is the average. And so that becomes, in IELTS, it's a 5. Because remember that 5.25 is marked down. So overall, a band 5. Now, I'm just one of many people who could score this, and to be honest, there will be some people who mark this a band 6. They might say 6 for everything, a more lenient examiner. I just know how strict a typical IELTS examiner would be in the test. Some of them are, really, really, really fastidious when it comes to marking their grammar and using vocabulary. They really look at those criteria in the band descriptors, and they will mark them really to the letter. So let's see if anybody else disagrees with me. Who's going to come to the chat? So Sunny says, "Oh my God." What is full marks? I agree. It's difficult to get a 7. Yes. Difficult to get a 6. It's not that difficult to get a 6, to be honest. It's not that difficult. Who else wants to Who else wants to ask me a question? The writing is the same as draw. I don't know what that is. Fatima says, I totally agree with you. Thank you, Fatima. Anybody else want to give their opinion on this essay? I think it's a good try, to be honest. I think they've not done too badly. How to use comma. Google. Zara says, you should give him 5.5. 5 is not fair. Zara, life is not fair. Yes, I think if I were to give 5.5, it would be 5.5, 6, 6. 6 for lexical or 6 for grammatical range and accuracy. That would be my concession. I probably wouldn't give them a 6 overall for this. Anybody else? It's great that you meet a strict teacher when learning while a lenient teacher met in the test. That is exactly true, Hong. We need to have strict teachers and then a good lenient teacher in the test. Why don't you write it for us? I actually think I have an essay. So if anybody wants to download some IELTS samples, you can come over to the IELTS Daily website and we have lots of sample answers on there. How much do you have to prepare to get a 5? Not a lot, actually. That's a good question, Marija. So actually a band 5 isn't that difficult to get. Surprisingly enough, band 5 is actually not too difficult. This would be an example of a higher level band 5. You can actually write something a little bit more simple and get a band 5. So, anybody else? Is vocabulary that important? It's 25% of your mark. That's how it is. Saad says, what's the name of the IELTS Daily app? It's not released yet, Saad. It's not quite released. We're still testing it. We're still going through the testing process. So just wait. Be patient. Chris, could you give an example how she could have improved on task achievement? Well, first of all, Amandeep, task achievement is for task 1. Today we're looking at task response. Task response here is maintaining a position and giving an idea and supporting that idea in the paragraph and making sure that that doesn't change your opinion from whatever you started with, and make sure it supports your opinion. And I think in the example that they gave here, if we take a look at the person's writing, they started talking about they're an indication of the past, significant boosting the tourism and education sectors of one country. So they talked about the building tourism and education sectors, but they didn't really talk about education sector later. So their ideas were just a bit confusing. Why include the idea of an education sector when you don't go in and talk about it later in the support? So that's one reason, and these just became a bit unclear and not very well supported. By the way, don't forget, I should remind you, every time I come to this, I should tell you some important things. IELTS Daily, if you look here, IELTS Daily has lots and lots and lots of videos. If we come to here, you will see that we have lots of playlists which go through, for example, speaking. We've got general vocabulary. We've got IELTS vocabulary. We've got writing lessons. If we go to the videos section, we've got writing lessons. We've got ideas on speaking. We've got all the blue videos here, like this one here. This is a writing video, and we've got a writing video here, which are designed to help you develop ideas. They help you give vocabulary for that particular topic. So go through all the videos and watch all our speaking videos, all our writing videos, because they will help you generate ideas. And we look at some of the most common questions that have come up recently in the test. Anyway, right. It is very, very, very nice to see you at such short notice. I'm sorry that I surprised this class on you, but it's nice to see you all anyway. And I hope that you found this writing session useful. Don't forget, come and check out all our other videos on YouTube. It's been a pleasure talking to you today, and I hope that you're all keeping well. Keep smiling, keep being polite and friendly and nice, and leave comments on the channel. I love to see comments on the videos. If you like the videos, if you don't like the videos, that's okay. Tell us and we'll try to make more videos that you enjoy and that you think are useful. So for those people that are still here, very, very, very good afternoon, good evening, good day, good morning to you, and